Alma De Groen. Alma De Groen. Alma De Groen is an Australian feminist playwright born in New Zealand on 5 September 1941. Biography. Alma Margaret Mathers, born in Manawatu, grew up in Mangakino, a small township founded to serve a hydroelectric power station in the North Island of New Zealand. Her earliest experience of theatre was being taken, as a high school student, to a New Zealand Players production of St. Joan, which starred Edith Campion, the mother of Jane Campion, as St. Joan. This, along with a tiny local library which contained works by Shaw and Wilde, began her interest in theatre. In 1964, she moved to Australia, and through the artist Geoffrey de Groen, whom she married in 1965, Alma de Groen was introduced to the filmmaker Sandy Harbutt, who read her first play, The Sweatproof Boy. Harbutt persuaded theatre director Brian Ciron to read it, and a mentorship lasting many years began. Ciron was the first Aboriginal Australian to study at RADA and at the legendary Stella Adler studio in New York. His letters of advice and encouragement, and the opportunity to stay with him in New York, where he took her to see off-Broadway theatre, were critical to her development as a playwright. Elizabeth Perkins, PG5. Career. Her career began in earnest when she was living in Canada with husband Geoffrey and daughter Nadine. The Nimrod Theatre in Sydney performed The Sweatproof Boy in 1972, directed by Richard Wherrett, who directed most of her early work. The APG Australian Performing Group produced her second play, The Joss Adams Show, at the Pram Factory in Melbourne, also in 1972. This play, along with the group devised women's theatre groups, Betty Can Jump, was the first expression of second-wave feminism in Melbourne theatre. Denise Varney, PG25. When she returned to Australia in 1973, she became involved with the Australian National Playwrights Conference, first as a playwright and later for many years serving as a dramaturge. Her best-known work is The Rivers of China, featuring the short story writer Catherine Mansfield, which premiered at the Sydney Theatre Company in 1987. It won the Premier's Award in both NSW and Victoria, and is included by the Australian Society of Authors in its list of Australia's 200 best literary works. In Belonging: Australian Playwriting in the 20th Century, critic John McCallum describes The Woman in the Window, featuring the poet Anna Akhmatova, as her masterpiece. He calls it and The Rivers of China the first great works of serious philosophical science fiction written for the theatre in Australia. The Woman in the Window is included, along with Summer of the 17th Doll from Australia, in Lucy Kerbel's 100 Great Plays for Women. She was the first playwright to receive the Patrick White Award in 1998. Her papers are archived at the Australian Defence Force Academy. Works. Theatre. The Sweatproof Boy. The Joss Adams Show. Perfectly All Right. The Afterlife of Arthur Craven. Chidley. Going Home. Locations. The Rivers of China. The Girl Who Saw Everything. Wild Heart co-writer and dramaturge with Legs on the Wall. The Woman in the Window. Wicked Sisters. Television. Going Home. Adaptation of stage play 1980. 1980. 1980. Rafferty's Rules. Series episode. The Women 1984. Man of Letters. Adaptation of the novel by Glenn Tomasetti, 1984. Singles. Series episode. Chris, 1988. After Marcuse. Original teleplay 1989. Radio. Available Light 1993. Invisible Sun 1994. The Rivers of China radio adaptation 1989. Stories in the Dark with Ian Mackenzie Australian pre-Italian entry 1996. Awards. 1985 Television Adaptation Augie Award for Man of Letters. 1988 NSW Premier's Literary Award for The Rivers of China. 1988 Victorian Premier's Literary Award, Louis Essen Prize for Drama for the Rivers of China. 1993 Stage Augie Award for The Girl Who Saw Everything. 1998 Patrick White Award. Footnotes.